Well, hello, my fabulous peeps, and happy day, happy day. So, I wanted to just share that this is day 3 of our 21-day fasting for 2025 and beyond. And so, the focus of today was salvation, but it also dealt with finding focus. Some oftentimes when you are at, or I'm gonna say me, we get physically fatigued and we feel as though, okay, there is no way out of this, feeling hopeless, feeling lost. Especially when you've had those moments of you've experienced loss, you've experienced whether that's loss spiritually, physically, emotionally, financially. You can become physically fatigued till you feel as though God is not there. You feel as though you're alone. Nobody understand. There's no way out unless you do something extreme or you just give up on life on the whole. And so I just want to encourage you that during those seasons of uncertainty, you have to find the focus. You have to find what is it that you have that God has given you in order to move forward. And so for me, and I was reading, this was part of my devotion, which was First Kings 9 that talked about, and the previous chapter as well, was just talking, looking at First King verses 18, chapter 18, excuse me, 20 to 24, and First King 9, 19 to verses 1 through 5, and where Elijah was pretty much challenging the prophets of Baal and said, listen, if your God does this, and this, hey, more power to you. But let's put it to the test where I'm going to see if your God can light this fire and burn these sacrifices and all this. Okay, you have to read it for yourself. There's nothing like it. And they were chanting, they were doing everything, they're cutting themselves, all the different rituals, but nothing happened. And finally, they pretty much gave up. And Elijah came, set up the altar, did all the little things, did the digging around it, had the sacrifice, and guess what? It burned. It got on fire, right? And I was just reading that, and I was like, God, God is awesome. God is awesome, right? To identify that God is really the true and living God. And so sometimes when we lose focus and we become physically fatigued, we're tired, right? Because we've lost focus, we start looking our view, instead of looking the view of our circumstances through God's eyes, we look at it through our eyes. And so our eyes is taken off of God, who is the author and finisher of every area of our lives, and that he is also the one that knows the different stages of our life. What's something that has been a real comfort to me is that God knew that this season in my life was going to happen to our family. God knew the season when we had the foreclosure, bankruptcies, being sued was going to happen. Now losing loved ones was going to happen. That's very dear to our heart, was going to happen. And yet still, he's just like, I know the plan that I have for you, plans for good and not evil. That's Jeremiah 29 and 11. Plans for good and not evil, to give you a future and a hope. And so for me, I've been really focused on being very optimistic instead of pessimistic, because I truly believe that the great losses that we've experienced, and for you too, okay, that you've experienced, I've experienced, that they're not for naught, right? They're not in vain. I truly believe that God is using these losses, past losses, present losses, for something greater, to help us to get realigned to him, to help us to find our focus back. Because I've lost some focus in a couple of areas, and now it's like my drive is, no, I'm there. I've got to make it happen. I've got to do it, and not in the process lose myself, but making sure I draw nearer to God, and that my focus is, okay, God, what is it that you want me to do? And it's unfortunately, I won't say it's unfortunately, but how God can use those things that are really devastating in their lives for something good, to give us a wake up call, and to remind us that He's still faithful, that He is still God, and that He will, as He said, He never leave us nor comfort us. We just have to be reminded a lot of time. And so I was just really encouraged about being reminded of finding my focus. And that's actually one of my intentional words. Goal words is focus. Intentional is one, focus is another, because sometimes I could be all over the place, okay? Because I'm either fatigued, I'm tired, I can't process, I can't think, so many demands are being called, and then I'm not the best version as myself, as a mother, as a wife, because I am fatigued, I'm tired. But now I'm to the point where, okay, I'm focused on the things that's going to bring me to the goals and dreams that I have, and get rid of the things that are not, right, that are just fillers or distractions. Being mindful of certain things that I'm doing. Is it helping me to achieve my goal, or is it a distraction? Is it a filler? I'm busy. I'm busy, but is the busyness really something that's going to bring me to where I need to be, right? Because at the end of the day, listen, there's no such thing as balance, but there is something about finding focus through that. And so as I was reading this, and then this other thing, it says, He is looking, where you go, He's looking at great challenges through the lens of God's through faithfulness. And so we have to look through these challenges of as greatness that's making us a better version of ourselves, right? Stronger, more of and not a warrior where you feel like, I was going, but a silent warrior, right? Because when I read some of these things, and God was just so silent and so strategic in how He did things as well. So I just want to encourage you, because I was also, where's my, what also as part of my journey was that I'm reading this book, How to Prosper. You all see this? How to Prosper in Hard Times. And I'm reading this book, and it just triggered. And there was a part that in Cana, in Galilee, when Jesus did His first miracle, which was to turn the water into wine. I know that's a whole nother commentary, but hear me out. And what the different stages, right? And the need was, they're at this wedding feast, right? And the wine runs out, which is a big deal. And so Mary, turns to the son and is just like, listen, this is a big deal. We need wine. And God, in the midst of that, Jesus in the midst of it, decides to do it, telling the helpers, get as much barrels as you can, containers, because something is about to. And she's telling them, whatever He said to do it. Okay, that's another word that got to me. Whatever God says for you to do it, do it. And they did it, and it wasn't just wine, but it was the best wine. So the people were just like, well, usually they always do the good wine first, but this is really unusual, okay, that you did the best wine later on. And so for me, as an encouraging to you, is that that God uses what is it? What's the word? He's using those drama things in your life to bring out the best in your life as days, weeks, months ahead. But we have to follow the instructions, right? Where we have to step out on faith, and that how wine it represents, and I'm going to just share, I'm going to find it real quick because I was got that water takes the shape of whatever it is. And so when we put ourselves in the position of taking the shape of God and what He has, He gives us the best wine. I'm not telling you how to get drunk, okay? But He gives us the best. But it starts with our mindset, where so a man thinketh, so is he, right? So if you think, and I've had to be reminded, so if you think you can't accomplish it, you think if you can't be rich, you think that you can't be healthy, you think you can't have a great marriage, you think you can't raise great children, that you can't live in a better neighborhood, then guess what's going to happen? You are not. You are not. You are not, because you have already self-sabotage. And even though you're like, I'm pursuing, I'm doing all these things, but in the back of your mind, there's still some hesitation. There's still, that's how, and I know I'm kind of going back home. That's how Elijah was, because he saw God do all this, but yet and still he was getting fatigued. It's like, I don't know if God is, now they're trying to kill me and this, whatever. And God says, listen, I'm going to take care of you all the way to the end. Just like Jesus said at the wedding, he took care of it. He gave them the best. That surprised them, right? So God is also putting you in a position where he's doing things in your lives to surprise people. They're just like, I didn't even think you were going to come back from that. I didn't think that you were going to do this, or whatever the case may be. Now your life has become a testament and encouragement to others that now God is using your pain into purpose. He's using those things that you thought were, they're not a comeback, for something greater. So now you're finding your focus, right? You're being intentional to do what you need to do. So now you can attract the things that you need. If that's health, if that's money, if that's a good marriage, if that's children, if that's a better relationship, you are doing those things because you don't want this mess anymore, right? And I know that's for me. I was like, I don't want this mess anymore. Been there, done that. I want to come out on top and being encouraging and help support people on their different stages of life. That's why on my channel, as I said, I talk about marriage, money, motherhood, and everything else in between. Oh, and by the way, if I didn't tell you who I was, Teacher Melanie, right? Your financial life coach. I do everything from the womb to the tomb, right? And just teaching you the different aspects of life, right? Because sometimes we don't get taught, we get caught of things. We get caught in working, grinding, and pills. We get caught in marriages or relationships that doesn't fill us. We get caught in being a parent where we don't be the best version of ourselves, knowing that we are our children's first teacher, right? And that we can pour so many in our children, that we still have control of raising amazing children. And then when life happens and there's loss and devastations, how do you become resilient? How do you come back from those experiences and still live your blessed life? How do you do that? So hence why I do what I do, where I am right now in this season and beyond, my fabulous peeps. So I hope this was encouraging. I know there were so many little tidbits that I just shared, but I got so much today that I just wanted to be able to share, and just how they relate to each other as well. All right, my fabulous peeps. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so. Make sure you like if you haven't done so. And I want you to leave a comment of, what are you doing to find your focus in this season? Put a comment below. Okay, what are you doing to find your focus, that you can prosper during hard times? Because God said he desired for you to prosper, even as your soul prosper, and be in good health. Okay, he desires that for you, your family, the whole 9 yards. He desires that for you, but you have to walk in it. You have to believe it. And also you have to speak it as though it's already done, right? Because he says it again, speak those things as though they were, right? You don't speak what you see, like, God, see, I told you this. Oh, see, it's never going to happen. I'm always not getting my stuff. I'm always lacking. No, he's just like, listen, you shall, you will, and you must, my dears, my fabulous peeps. All right. So go ahead and comment. Okay. Be blessed. Bye, fabulous.